Bob here, Chopper Bob Customs, and starting on the third installment of building a Carson top on a 39 Ford. I looked over part 2. It was kind of long, and if it was too long for you, I apologize for that. I did a little bit of thinking about what goes into making it, and I realized that, well, I have a concept of what it is I'm trying to build here. I don't really know what the part is supposed to look like. I don't know what the part will look like when it's done. I know what the function needs to be and I have an idea of how to get there, but basically while I'm shooting the video, I'm actually planning the part rather than having a plan going in at the beginning. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of beforehand work to see if I can't shorten these up a little bit and get more to the point so you're not watching a bunch of dead air basically. So I'm going to give this a try, see how it works, see if I can't make this a more concise video. I also recognize that some of the stuff that I'm doing you probably wouldn't have to do on a lot of cars to get a Carson top built for it and get it installed. I have to do it on this one because some of the parts have been modified incorrectly and some of the parts are missing, and I need to get that foundation done before I actually start building the top. Hopefully, if you don't need to see all of this, you can fast forward through what's not important to you, and along the way, maybe some of the stuff that I'm doing might have applications for other little projects, give you some ideas on how to think a little bit differently about doing some things. So with that said, what I'm going to do today is start getting the header ready to accept the rest of the Carson top. And let me get this situated here. What I've got is what holds the tubes to the pins on the header, on the windshield frame. And what they had previously was just some odds and ends of basically junk bolts. They didn't match and they were kind of just tossed in there. And so today I'm going to be making 3 bolt assemblies to go into the units to tie it to the post sticking up. What I've got are 3 all thread rod pieces, about 3 1/4, 3 3/8 inches long. The length isn't that important because I am going to have to be cutting them the length. I made them extra long so I could chuck them up in my drill without damaging the threads. Basically what's going to happen is that this will thread in to here. It will have a nylock nut that will lock it if it's desired to make it sort of semi-permanent. It has a jam nut on a wing nut so that you can unscrew the post by hand. The one thing that I'm going to do first, and the reason I needed to chuck it up in my drill, is when you tighten these things down against the post, you tend to mushroom the end. And when you mushroom the end with threads, what you do is you actually mushroom the threads, and so then it makes it hard to get back out. So what I'm going to do is, since I don't have a lathe, I'm going to chuck them up and do a little bit of grinding to remove the first 2.5 threads off of the end of each of these studs. Okay, so like I said, if I had a lathe, I would probably go ahead and chuck this up in the lathe and cut the last 2 or 3 threads off of there. I don't have a lathe, so I'm gonna basically spin it while I'm grinding it. Everybody tells me I shouldn't be grinding on the side of a grinding wheel. I know I shouldn't be grinding on the side of the grinding wheel. You should not grind on the side of the grinding wheel, but hopefully it won't fly apart. If it flies apart and takes out the camera, well, I'll be in trouble. So here we go. All right, so we've got the three locking screws. I've got the nylock nut on there. I've got the jam nut and the wing nut. And I've got the threads ground off of the very end so that it won't mushroom out the threads. Obviously, it's longer than it needs to be. When we get it all situated in there, I'll know how much to cut off of them. Got three of those ready to go. Got that center support that we built in the second installment ready to go in there. And I've also cut a 2-inch long piece of 1/8 inch thick, 1.5 inch wide bar stock to act as the beginnings of the mounting for the center support. I've also loosely installed the original ends, so we're ready to put it in the car. You can see how loose it is. I've got a lot of work to get those mounted correctly, but to get it situated so we know how this thing assembles, we'll be ready to go. With the header installed, one of the first things I have to do is figure out exactly where the hole needs to be in that plate that I just made. So, I'm going to make a couple of marks on the width, and then I'll make a couple of marks here to get an idea how deep in the hole actually is. And that should be able to help me put the hole where it needs to go right there. So we'll see how this works. And this is what we've got. These vertical lines here indicate where the pin needs to slide into it. This top line right here, horizontal line, is how far it slides in. And this line down here is actually where it needs to slide into. So this from here is 5/8 of an inch approximately. And so I measured that from here to here, and that's basically where our pin needs to go into this plate in order for it to sit in the correct location. So then I just took a washer and drew out a arc right there. And because it is so offset and I don't have a mill where I can actually come in here and cut it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the cutoff wheel to come in here and basically nibble this out, and then use the die grinder to make it round. So I'm going to start doing that. I'll probably go ahead and record it and speed this up a whole lot. So let me move the camera, and hopefully I'll do this without cutting any fingers. plate is hitting the latch mechanism that I fabricated, which is good because I wanted to weld that to it, and if it's hitting it, that means that there'll be a spot that I can weld it to it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start marking it and start trimming it away until this will slide all the way in there with the latch located. Okay, so with the plate relieved, to wrap around the clamp mechanism, and with it all held together there, let's see if I can't put in 2 real solid tacks without catching the header on fire. And that way then I can take it over to the welding table and finish welding it up. One thing of note, it probably is out a little further than I'd anticipated. I'm probably going to have to adjust the hole slightly in the plate, and I'm probably going to have to trim it back more than I had already planned to. I'd already planned on trimming it back about 1/4 of an inch. It's probably going to be almost 5/16 that I'll have to trim it back. Actually, I probably won't have to trim it back. I'll probably have the plates that come in from the sides rest on top of it and put sort of a fillet in there. Well, I think I've got everything all covered up. I've welded on this car before, but nothing up quite this high. So we'll see how it goes. There's one good solid tack. No flames yet. That's always a good sign. Get a nice sharp tip here so that so, let me get this, I'll go ahead and turn off the camera and go ahead and get this all torn apart so I can get to it, take it over to the bench and see what I've got. With the header bow off the car, I went ahead and took a cutoff wheel on the grinder and I made a couple of witness marks, so I'll be able to line this back up when the time comes to make the bolting arrangement. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more weld on this, and I'm probably going to cut out a bridge to go in here to tie this edge so that it's not trying to rock. Okay, so I just ran out of wire, but I got it all pretty much welded except for one small spot right here. I got such a good bite on either side of it here, and of course I need to clean it up a little bit because it was a little bit hard to weld, but I don't think I'm going to put a piece across the back. I think all I'm going to do is weld a couple of washers on here and here, so that when I bolt through, it's got a good solid purchase, and I think this is good enough to move on to the next step, which will be tying this to the two end pieces. I think I'm going to stop here for today. I'm going to have to get some more wire and continue building this, but I've got the center latch taken care of, and I've got the start of all three of the latch screws. So all in all, a pretty good day. Next time I'll be building the pieces that go from here, from this piece to the outer pieces, and we'll get that. Once I get that done, then we're probably going to be in really good shape to actually start working the yeah, we're going to be in good shape to start building the actual Carson top structure. So hopefully this will be a little bit of a shorter video, a little bit less wandering around trying to figure out what to do next, and we'll see how it goes. Listen, if you got a comment about if you're not seeing enough, let me know. If you're seeing way too much, let me know. Put a comment in there. I want to hear from you guys. And then the other thing I want you to do is go out there and subscribe. Subscribe. I want to do this so that you guys enjoy seeing what I'm doing here at Chopper Bob Customs, and we'll go from here. But once again, like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next time. Chopper Bob out.